So hello everybody. Just wanted to stop in and pay tribute to a gentleman who passed away yesterday. Peabo Bryson, at the age of 75, died after having suffered a stroke just a few days prior. Now, I know a lot of people know about Peabo, particularly young people, because of what he did with Disney, right? With the songs that he did with Vanessa Belle. What was that one? The one he did with the Aladdin movie, and then Celine Dion, the one he did with her. What was that movie? Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, but I go back with Peabo. He did a song with Roberta Flack. Oh, she had a beautiful voice, and we lost her last year, February of 2025. But we lost Peabo yesterday, and their song, the two of them together, magical, simply magical. But Peabo had a magical voice anyway, and I guess he became like the guy to do duos for a lot of the ladies who were in the R&B genre. He did with what he did with Natalie Cole. Natalie. Everybody remembers. Well, do you remember Natalie? I remember Natalie. Because I go back with Natalie too, back in the day. But yeah, Peabo Bryson. He had a hit song. What was it, in 1981? He did an album in 1981. I was stationed overseas, and I turned that one on yesterday. And Let the Feeling Flow, I think is what it's called. Let the Feeling Flow. If you haven't heard that one, go and just look up Let the Feeling Flow by Peabo Bryson. That would be about 1981, somewhere thereabouts. Pretty sure it's 81 because I was stationed in South Korea. But I go back even further than that with Peabo, because Peabo Bryson came out with his first really big hit song back in 1977. And that was my senior year in high school. And you know how it is when you're in high school, when you're about that age, right? That's when certain songs, well, I don't care what age group you're in. If you're a boomer like me, or if you're a Gen Xer, or if you're a millennial, or you're a Gen Z, it doesn't matter. When you are in high school, that is the best music in the world as far as you're concerned. And so for me, the best music ever was from that genre. I don't care what you all do now. It's cool and everything. I'm not going to say your music's not music, but that for me, and for you, if you are a teenager now, this music that you're hearing, as far as you're concerned, is going to be the best music ever as you get older. But anyway, he came out with this hit. His first big hit after, bouncing around. He did like the Chicken Circuit, or the Chitlin Circuit, back in when he was in South Carolina, which is where he's from, Greenville. But he made his home in Atlanta, and so we felt like he was like homegrown for us. And in 1977, he came out with this song. It's called "Feel the Fire," right? And man, that thing lit up the airways. That was his introduction to the world, as far as we are concerned, those of us who remember that. Feel the Fire. And then right after that, he came out with what's it called, I'm So Into You. That would have been like a year later, right? And so it was just Peabo all the way. Peabo Bryson had one of those voices, and I appreciate people who have those really great voices, and he had one. Peabo had a tenor voice, and it was a smooth and almost a precious voice, but it was strong at the same time. And so he mixed all that together and packaged it into love songs. And that was Peabo. And back in 77, when he came out with that song, it just, for those of us who are my age, and I'm in my mid-60s, well, I'm in my late 60s now. I just celebrated her birthday. But, well, I don't really celebrate it, but anyway. But yeah, he's from that time, and he made that music from back in the day that, we think back and we think about love songs and our high school girlfriends and, heartbreak and heartache and, and all of that stuff, right? Yeah, Peabo Bryson. Peabo Bryson had those two songs that a lot of people know him by now because of Disney, and I think after that he didn't need to make any more music because those things are still selling, and his family will probably continue to get paid for a long time. Those type hits will make you wealthy. But those hits were animated theme songs to animations from Disney, and I think Beauty and the Beast hit #1 on Billboard, right? That had never happened before. I mean, so that's 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 an amazing thing. And here's what's interesting. Peabo was not Disney's first choice. The other people turned it down. And when you think about it, would those songs have been nearly as popular had it not been for the voice of Peabo Bryson? Because a lot of people up in 1991, 1992, 1993, a lot of the young people, they didn't really know who Peabo was. He was a 70s, 80s guy. And so by the time the 90s came around, nobody knew. And I would imagine that a lot of people in the past 20 years who hear those songs, they still don't know who he is. They just, oh, that's a nice song, and a guy sings pretty well, but they know Celine Dion because, they know Celine Dion. But Peabo, they didn't really know him. But those of us who go back, we know Peabo. We know Peabo. And Peabo did some great things. He did really beautiful music. We considered him like a hometown guy because he decided to move to Atlanta when his career took off. And if you're familiar with Atlanta, those of you who are in Atlanta and that kind of thing, what's it called? Colony Square, right there on Peachtree. I guess that's Buckhead, and I think that's 10th Street, the intersection there. Yeah, he lived there back in the late 70s and into the 80s for a while. Around the same time that Elton John lived there. They both lived there, and a lot of famous people chose to live in Colony Square, or at least make a home there. But Peabo Bryson kept his home in the Atlanta area, and he passed away just yesterday at the age of 75. His home is now in Marietta, Georgia, just north of Atlanta. But yeah, we will remember Peabo Bryson. And so when everybody hits play on one of those love songs that Peabo sang for us, we'll remember that name. We'll remember that voice. Because he lived a good life. So rest in peace, Peabo Bryson. Till next time.